Hello again, everyone. Today I am here with some handmade watercolors that I purchased from Etsy from a shop called Masha's Watercolors. And this is the same website that I purchased a palette to have at my desk made out of wood with a ceramic mixing area. I will put a link to that video below so that you can see that. And in that there were some samples of some watercolor, and I had already been thinking about getting some watercolors from this website, and there were some samples included in that order, which I swatched on the channel in that video that I'm linking to down below. And I went ahead and got some colors, some half pans, and some additional samples came with that. So I'm going to swatch the samples and the watercolors that I got. The actual pans came with these little swatch cards, which I thought was really nice. So I'm gonna swatch the pans on the swatch cards, but I will swatch the little dot cards on my normal swatch book. So let me get that out because I realize that is not out yet. Okay, we're ready to go there. Actually, let me see if I can find the prior one that I did for these. Yes, and I think I'll probably just put them on the same page. Okay, so I have that ready off to the side. I have some water off to the side. I'm gonna be using this Rhapsody brush. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of water on each of these pans. Not a ton, just enough to kind of get them a little bit wet so that we can re-wet them easily. I'm going to do the same with the swatch cards. They didn't seem to have much of a problem re-wetting, but let's see. And I'm actually excited about these samples because some of these, like the Tiger's Eye and the Bright Yellow, were actually out of stock when I did my order, and they were colors that I was interested in. And then we have Serpent Green and Shadow Green Dark. It seems like this maker really likes greens because there seem to be a lot of them. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. Oh, and I did want to say this little note came with it about unwrapping them because she says that since they're made with honey, they remain semi-moist, so place in the freezer for 10 to 15 minutes for easy unwrapping. I unwrapped these straight from my porch, which was really, really cold that day, so I had absolutely no trouble unwrapping them on that day. I figured I would go ahead and do that instead of putting them in the freezer because they were already really cold. Probably not as cold as the freezer, but still pretty cold. Let's go ahead and do the samples first, actually. I'll put these off to the side along with the little swatch cards, and the paper that these swatch cards is on is really thick, so that'll be nice. So here I have the book with the prior samples, and they're all labeled here, and like I said, I'm going to put a link down below to the video where I have swatched these. So I'll probably do 3 up here and then 1 down here because of where I've put the label. Let's go ahead and start with the Bright Yellow. And that little dot of water did get this started pretty good. Very beautiful. Okay. Oh, and what I did do actually after I did the video was to pull out the color because there's a little, I don't know if it's a stamp or a printout of a little flower here. So I kind of pulled the pigment out and filled in that little flower on my other swatches, which is kind of nice because then you can see on the swatch itself what the color is. And you know, this is a kind of a bigger brush than all these little spaces, but I think it's useful to have that. Okay, there we go. So the next one I'm going to swatch is Tiger's Eye. And this one was really pretty in the swatches on the website. Yeah, it's almost like a green gold, I would say. But it has some granulation, which you can see coming out, and you can't see that very well, actually. There's some really nice granulation coming out. I will hold these up to the camera before we go. And I'll just do the same thing here of pulling that out. I think it's kind of nice when handmade watercolor companies come with like a little interesting swatch card like this. Just something different than, you know, you get elsewhere. Okay. And I wonder if that, I think there's probably a granulating black in that one. Okay, so this next one is Serpent Green, which I don't remember seeing this one before, but I may have. Lovely. I wonder if this one is supposed to look a little bit like Daniel Smith's Serpentine Genuine, given the name. Okay. Yes, and as I go through with these swatches, I'm clearly getting slappier on being in that little shape, but it's really just to show you what the color is, so no worries. Okay, and then the last sample here is Shadow Green Dark, which I'm going to put down here on the bottom. Oh, now that's really nice. That's definitely my speed as far as colors go. And then let's just go ahead and pull that out. What I like about these watercolors is that they're very, very pigmented and there's a lot of granulating colors, which I've been really into granulating colors. If you saw what excited me in 2021 about watercolors, granulation was kind of the big thing for me. I'll put a link below to that video as well. All right, so there's our samples and they're mostly dry. Let me put those up to the camera before I move on to the swatch cards. So this one was Bright Yellow. This is Tiger's Eye. This one is Serpent Green. Both of these have a really nice granulating undertone here. And this one's granulating as well, Shadow Green Dark. Really pretty. Okay, I'm gonna put that off to the side. And let's get going with these full pans here. I'll zoom in a little bit because we're just gonna be operating on little swatch cards. All right, so this one is Cobalt Green Hue, which is really pretty. It had some really nice undertones. So this has a place for a mass tone, which is basically, you know, the color undiluted. So let's go ahead and put a thick application up here, basically as dark as we can get it. It may not be perfect. From a pan, it's a little hard to get the darkest dark that you can get from that color, but there we go. And then down below, I'm going to do what I normally do with swatches, which is I'm gonna cover, let's see, I'll cover half of this with full strength or, you know, undiluted. And then, oh, such a great color. And then I'm going to load my brush up with some extra water. I didn't completely rinse out the brush, but actually let me do that on that little bit there. And you're getting a little bit of glare, but I'm going to show you these again towards the end. So we're trying to get sort of the range there, but that is just such a gorgeous color with a really nice granulation, sort of a blue-green. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and write on here. I have a Copic marker here. Ooh, I don't remember what the pigment is. I think the pigment information was on the website, so I'll probably find that and put that on here later. But this is Cobalt Green Hue. gorgeous. Like I said, I don't know what kind of paper this is, but it's definitely showing the watercolors off well. Probably smart to send swatch cards that show the color off well. All right, and I'll bring that back after we swatch the others. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I don't want to turn these over too much because they have water on them, but they do have little magnetic stickers on the bottom that came with them, which is nice because I do like to put colors in pans that don't necessarily always have, anyway, I like to put them in pans where that I can just stick them magnetically to the bottom of the pan or the palette. So this is Turquoise Violet. And this definitely seems, if not opaque, semi-opaque. Probably because of that turquoise. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit more water here. And I don't even know that I needed to add water here. They really re-wet quite easily. With the water, definitely re-wet, no problem. Okay. Yeah, so clearly this was made with a stamp, because sometimes when you have an oil-based stamp, you will get some, like the color will pull away from the edge. Okay, let's see, how light can we go here? Actually, let's do a little bit more pulling out there of the color. All right, let me get around that glare there. But again, another gorgeous color. I'll bring this out again at the end. I think you're really getting, you know, the awesomeness where it's diluted a little bit more here. Okay, so I'm going to put that off to the side, and oh, let me go ahead and put that this is Turquoise Violet. I'm going to have to abbreviate that because there's not enough room. All right, so this next color is Shadow Purple. So these next colors are all going to be sort of in the purple family. Again, another really dark pigment. And I'm going to get some more water. Put that on here. And I'm going to get some, but not all of the pigment off here. Pull that out. And then I'm going to completely rinse and go over to the end here. And here we go. Really, really pretty. You can see some pink undertones there. These colors are just really, really pretty. Someday I might like to try and make my own granulating colors. Shadow Purple. And like I said, I think the website or on Etsy, the Etsy shop did say what pigments were in here, so I can fill that out after I go take a look. Okay, and okay, so that's Shadow Purple. And then next I have a color called Dark Planet. And this one kind of had a little bit of a brown undertone with this dark purplish color. And again, I will move this around so that you can see it a little better, because I know there's that glare there. All right, I'm going to add a little bit more water here. But like I said, these seem to re-wet really super easy. I would be really interested to know what the formula is on these, but I doubt they'll say. Probably don't want to let those secrets out. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to rinse a little bit off, pull it a little bit more, and then completely rinse off and pull the rest of the way to the end of the swatch area. Okay, so again, really getting really nice granulation. I think all of the bigger pans that I got are granulating. And I'm looking off to the side here at the mostly dried samples. The other samples, they're really, really cool looking. I will bring those back out. Okay, so this is Dark Planet. Really cool. And then the last color here is Ultramarine Purple. Oops, I stuck my finger in that other one just now. And this is just a really gorgeous, deep reddish purple, which is lovely. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more water for the bottom part here. But yeah, it's really cool that a lot of these small makers have been making such interesting watercolor mixes, and I think I'm not the only one interested in granulation these days, so I think that's becoming more popular. Okay, pull that out a little bit. Okay, and this one is also granulating, but it's not as dramatic with like a dual color thing going on like the other ones, but still really, really pretty. Really pretty. Okay, I'm gonna label this. I'm actually just gonna say Ultra Purple. But yeah, it's really nice that these swatch cards were included. Okay, so let me put those little pans off to the side. I'm going to bring out these again so that you can see how they dried around the sample. So that's that bright yellow. It's that tiger's eye where you can see there's some really nice granulation going on up in here with some black, I think. And that serpent green also has some really nice granulation going on. Really pretty. Shadow green dark. Again, more granulation. I might want to get more of these watercolors. They're not the cheapest, which is always the case with really high quality stuff. Okay, so this is the first one that I swatched. This is Cobalt Green Hue. Now that it's dry, you can see there's that really cool kind of, you know, surface of the moon kind of texture going on there. Really, really nice. Definitely a bluish green. And because it does say hue, it's not cobalt green. So this is a mix of pigments to make this color here. And like I said, on the Etsy shop, it does have the pigment information, so I would refer you to that. I'll put a link to the Etsy shop down below. Okay, and that video that I linked also has that info. Okay, so this is kind of interesting where I put it down really dark on this turquoise violet. It's almost like the violet color kind of lifted above the turquoise where it's heavily applicated. These are not completely dry yet. But in here, that's just super gorgeous there. Really, really neat. I think that could lead to some really cool effects. Actually, let me put those down here so you can continue to see them. And then this shadow purple, that got really interesting when it dried. Really cool to have that pink undertone with the purple on top. Really, really cool. And again, not completely dry, but almost course, dog fur. It's kind of a given that every video will have some dog fur in it. Okay. And then here is that Dark Planet, which is still a little wet because, you know, these are larger swatches, so they have more water on them. But you can definitely see here where it's dried on the top. Really interesting color separation going on, granulation going on. Really, really interesting. And then here is that last one, which is actually almost drier than that one. I must have put more water on this one. Let me move these over. And there's that Ultramarine Purple. Really awesome. Okay, so these are all great. I highly recommend this brand. I had been on the fence about getting these because I saw the colors on the Etsy shop and, you know, the cost and like, do I really need more watercolors? But then when I got the samples, I was like, yes, I do need more watercolors because these are very unique and interesting. And they're color mixes. So, I mean, you could make color mixes similar to this with granulating colors. Like I said, the pigment information is on the Etsy shop. But, you know, this has a really good formula too. That was one of the things that I wanted to know before I got the watercolors. You know, how is it going to flow? These flow great. I highly recommend these. So I think that's all I have for you today. Feel free to subscribe to keep track of future videos on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. I hope to see you next time, but in the meantime, have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.